Hello, everyone. I'm King John, and I like to talk about things. I like to talk about television and movies and books. Got some in my eye. And, for a long time, a lot of people have been talking about Game of Thrones slash A Song of Ice and Fire and George R. R. Martin, and a lot of people are very, very unhappy with the end of Game of Thrones. And got very unhappy at David Weiss and D.B. Benioff and saying a lot of awful things about them. And yeah, oh boy, they got a lot of things wrong. They messed up big time. The end of the series just was really, really disappointing. And as showrunners, they are ultimately responsible. Yeah, they did a really bad job, and they should be very embarrassed about it. That having been said, some of the things that people say about them are unfair. And as much as I do not like David Weiss and D.B. Benioff, it is important for us to try to be fair. I mean, at least for me, I feel that very strongly, especially for a king. It is important to try to be fair, even toward people I don't like, especially toward people I don't like, because it's easy to be fair to people you like. So, David Weiss and D. Benioff, I'm here to defend them. And one of the things that people complain about them is, well, that the only thing they know how to do is adapt things. And to take a book and adapt it into a TV show. Well, first, there's no only about that. That's a big deal. That's a major accomplishment. They could do it as well as they did. And remember, they are also responsible for the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones that everyone liked very much. And secondly, well, that's what they were hired for. Of course, it's what they're good at. They'd have no reason to be good at anything more than that. That was their job. That's what they agreed to do. By the time they got to the end of all the completed books, there were supposed to be more books for them to adapt from. And it's completely not their fault that there were no books for them to adapt from anymore. They were told there would be. We were told there would be. But there was not. So, they went from adapting completed books, stories that have been edited and polished for years. And they went from adapting that to working from what George R. R. Martin said to them he was thinking about writing at some time in the future. So, of course there's a drop in quality. No one could keep going with the same level of quality. That having been said, they did an awful job. They should be ashamed of themselves. They screwed up big time. They were offered more time to finish the series. They were offered more money. They were offered more writing help. They turned it all down. Running theory is they wanted to hurry through to get a Star Wars movie. See how well that turned out. Now, the big problem with people blaming David Weiss and D.B. Benioff so much for the ending of Game of Thrones and how bad the last couple seasons were, is that to an awful lot they're letting George Martin off the hook, because an awful lot of it is in fact his fault. Not just not finishing the book, but just about everything that they had to work from was in fact what he was telling them about. Okay, so for example, the scene in the crypt and the Battle of Winterfell. Lots of people are pointing out how stupid that scene is. Well, what probably happened is that George Martin had this idea in his head for this scene. He's talked about his writing process. This is how he works, and he told them that to put that scene in, and so they did. The end of Game of Thrones sucked a lot. As showrunners, they are ultimately responsible, and everyone has a right to be unhappy with them. But still, you should be angry for the right reasons. You should be angry at the right people. George Martin, who is constitutionally incapable of finishing the damn series he started, and has started to blame fans for being unhappy at him for not keeping his promises year after year after year after year, is also ultimately responsible. Anyway, so this was mostly off the top of my head, but I hope you liked it. I hope it gave you something to think about. Have a good day, and God bless.